choose a team member from Team B and a question for either or.
Yes. I choose you, Bill Corbett. Your either or is the House on Haunted Hill or the International House of Pancakes.
I'm going to choose by the place I'd rather eat, the House on Haunted Hill.
Just as a follow-up, for no reason whatsoever, which would you rather have pancakes in, the original or the remake? Since we know you've probably seen them both.
The remake if it came with boysenberry syrup. Worlds are colliding.
Alright, that's 1 point for Dana's team.
We should have talked about sex, shouldn't I?
You know what? I'm going to give an extra point.
Why is that?
Just because he mentioned the syrup.
Okay, I'm good with a point for syrup. Well done.
I thought he deserved a point for syrup.
So if Doc had mentioned syrup when talking about
I don't know, the syrup was implied, Ken. You know, I got a swarthy captain all over me. Syrup. That's that.
You're not getting a point for those visuals. I'm sorry. We're going to move on to a Just a Minute question. Now, for those unfamiliar with Just a Minute, I know some of our panelists are. I know at the very least Neil is familiar with Just a Minute. Just a Minute is the person who is chosen has to try to talk about a given subject for exactly 60 seconds without deviation, repetition of any other words than the words given as the subject.
Or hesitation.
Or hesitation. So if you hear an
like
or a pause.
Orson Welles. Hesitation.
I don't get it. Don't pick me.
You played it twice before.
I wasn't paying attention. Don't pick me, Ken.
So Doc, you're Just a Minute.
Let me just point out quickly for the other team, if you do catch them in a deviation or a deviation away from the subject at hand, repetition of words, or a hesitation, you may buzz in, and then you will take over and must try to complete the 60 seconds.
How much is this game worth?
I don't get it.
It's exactly, well, it can be more than 1 point.
It depends.
It depends. Now, if you have,
all the way through, we just don't buzz them, so we don't have to.
Hold on. Sounds like a plan. Excuse me, it's me on the down here.
Yes.
In the actual rules, if you buzz correctly, the correct challenge, you get a point.
you get a point if it's correct. If it's an incorrect challenge, then you get a point. Who is delivering it, if you challenge incorrectly, the person who is incorrectly buzzed against gets a point.
You get a point. My teammate just made you guys get a point. That's what his correction.
I retained none of that.
Thank you.
So, and unlike traditional Just a Minute, where you would all be facing off against each other, we're going to have this.
You know, in all this time you've been describing this, I still don't understand it. So.
Dana understands it. Dana loves it.
Just buzz me. Dana, buzz me.
Look at the glee on his face.
So, Doc, would you like your topic?
No.
Are we challenging or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead. What's the topic, Ken?
Your topic
Yes.
is ravens.
Out of time?
So what am I not supposed to do? I can't say the word raven?
You can say the word raven as often as you like.
I can say
You
raven,
can say raven as often as you like, but you cannot repeat other words.
You can't say like roll light
You can
twice.
repeat common
You can't
words
say
like
carry.
Simple articles.
Say black.
Okay.
Oh yes, you can say.
All right, we'll start the clock. Let's go with raven.
All right.
Okay, time.
Begin now.
All right, this is interesting. Edgar Allan Poe, who wrote The Raven, you would think that he, in his time, was considered something else, that we look at him today as this dour, pumpkin-headed, black-wearing freak. But actually, back when he was a functioning poet, he was also known as that Raven thing. And he would go to these women's circles where women would make tea and cakes, and they would just kind of drag in this poor guy, and he would read The Raven to these women who kind of swooned, and this is not a good-looking guy, trust me. And they would swoon, and he was known exactly as this terrible thing that we know him today, when we think apocryphally.
Time.
Why did you hit it to shut him up. It's excruciating.
Time on the
Deviation. I'm going to allow deviation. It went into a lot of ladies scrolling.
So, sorry? 8 seconds.
That was the only 8 seconds to Bill, Dana.
He buzzed me on 8 seconds, and that was like an actual thing. People were learning, and then he buzzed me right out.
Dana, would you like to teach them?
For 8 seconds.
Did someone from here go?
No, it's you.
Oh, it's you, my friend. You're the captain. You must throw your
There's one little story about
Captain, my captain.
All right. Sure.
Begin.
Go.
Ravens are black. They're birds. They have feathers. They fly in
He
trees.
said they twice. If you say they, is that okay?
I admit it freely, this is the most confusing thing I've ever done.
All right, so that would be a point for Dana's team, yes?
That would be a point for Dana's for a correct
How can
challenge,
we board mine?
and then a point for Doc's for another correct challenge. And we'll see how many seconds does Doc. You have 1 second to fill, Doc.
Let me get another one.
I have to fill up the second.
Fill a second.
With what?
Ravens!
Now, I can't repeat any words he said, or can I can say Ravens again?
That's it, Ravens.
Just 1 second?
1 second.
Go.
Ravens are beautiful.
Cross the finish line.
Oh my God, can we get another thing that makes sense?
You're the wrong game for that.
Welcome to British Panelship.
Oh.
Well, you know what? I think we need to give them just a minute on this side.
I think we do.
I would love to see Trace talk about knitting. So, you tell us when you're ready to go.
Hesitation.
That is correct. That is a point to Neil, and Neil can pick up Neil in 60 seconds.
Just a minute, I thought it started.
Can I buzz my own team? I got a lot of knitting facts.
Well, the rules are fluid. Neil, would you like to pick up knitting for a minute?
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Time.
Knitting has become quite a hobby amongst elderly people, men and women. They use needles and balls of wool and can knit in different ways, looping and shuffling the wool along the wooden implements used to hold the knitting as you construct part of a garment in order to sew it to another bit.
It's mesmerizing. You can't. It doesn't make any sense. It's just coming at you with that lull. You guys can't buzz that. They'll do this. That's untouchable.
It's suddenly want to knit.
Yeah. And you know what's amazing? He just went for 5 minutes. How did you do it?
You were in a fugue state.
We learned a lot.
So what happened? Did someone buzz? I'm not going to buzz.
You know what? I'm gonna say the comment was a buzz, and I'm gonna give. How much time is remaining with that? Let's just say 20 seconds to Bill Corbett on knitting.
Was that a correct challenge?
Hey!
What was the challenge?
The challenge was we all got lost in your voice. We all misspelled the challenge.
We're quite worried that people are gonna take up knitting.
But we're getting rewarded for that.
We should have a point for an incorrect challenge.
I will give a point for an incorrect challenge.
I want to give a point because he just hypnotized. How many people are in here?
You know what? I will give here. Fine. I will give a point for an incorrect challenge.
Yeah.
To Team A.
Yeah.
But I will also give knitting to Bill Corbett for 20
I
seconds.
want a point for mesmerization. You gave him a point for syrup?
I will give.
expecting him to do that Mission Impossible thing and he'll be Darren Brown underneath the deal in his mask.
I'm waiting to see the footage of me clucking like a chicken. I got a clock that says I lost an hour.
That'll be a half a point for Team A. Go forward, you have 20 seconds.
Explain to me why I have to do this. He did great. I want to give him a point.
If you go for 20 seconds, I will give your team 3 points.
Holy moly. Just do it.
What did we do to you in the back?
It's the syrup, my friend. The syrup.
The rules of this Gonzo panel show are completely arbitrary.
It's part of the rules.
Yes, the other part of the rules is they are almost completely arbitrary.
We didn't say what size
We'll come
the party
back.
was.
We'll come back when Ken likes us again. We're gonna have our big comeback. When Ken decides we get our comeback.
I put a side bet on Team B.
If you don't do it, Ken won't give us our return tickets to fly.
All right, let's hear about that knitting. We got 3 points on knitting.
Dana isn't lying.
Say when. Okay. If one were to knit and knit for several weeks, one might knit a man.
Repetition, that is correct challenge.
But it was the key word. Knit.
No, knitting
One.
is the top one we have not met.
Oh, go all gerund on me, will you?
That is a correct challenge. How many installments remaining for Neil? 12 seconds on knitting.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Now,
Look at you, 12 minutes.
I'm gonna sit back and collect this point for the team.
Kath Fawcett wrote a fascinating book on knitting, using lots of colours and textures, different wools from different breeds of sheep.
that is time. Crossing the minute, I'm going to award an extra point for using a variation on a Clement Freud technique.
No, that's how slowly I work.
So that is 2 points to Team A.
It is time for one of you to face the home truths, and first up is Tracy.
Are you ready, team?
Yeah.
Ace took heroin for the first time.
Boulevard.
Believe it or not, my picture is in the World Book Encyclopedia, the 1973 edition.
Say it again.
My picture is in the World Book Encyclopedia. It used to be a volume bound. Wait a second. Encyclopedia.
Is this before the intranet?
The internet. 1973.
Before the pictures came?
The world.
That's it? Is it
Book. The World Book Encyclopedia.
The World Book.
Used
What
to
was the
get-
article?
We all know what it is. Why are you in it?
What is the article? It's an article about the state of
making it up.
of Minnesota.
State of Minnesota?
State of Minnesota, which is a state and not a sense. And what were you, Mr. Minnesota? I was vacationing with my family, and our photo was taken in front of a famous Minnesota landmark.
Which was?
I don't know if you're familiar with Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, we're intimate.
And his blue ox.
Yeah, when Babe left him.
Yes. We were standing in front of this monument, and our photo was snapped.
So you were there for scale?
What is the monument?
Pardon?
What is the monument?
That is the monument. That's it. That's all they could do was.
What is it made out of?
This giant woodsman. It was made out of concrete, I think. It was formed concrete around. So
Did it span the Euphrates? What is this thing?
No, it's just a big lumberjack and his ox.
Aggressive interrogation technique.
Our technique's not in question. We will get to the truth.
It's a roadside
It's just
So help me God! If I do not deliver, I'll leave this country, sir.
All right, teammate, we need to press you for a decision.
Yeah, we don't get anything. We get our interrogation technique.
Let's give them a few more questions.
concrete lumberjack, giant ox.
For God's sake, don't draw
It's an icon.
Benjamin, what? We will do this the way we want to do it, or I'll take you outside and spank you like your mother
Well,
should.
then we're actually...
Sir, you cannot come to a hearing like this and not talk to that.
I don't care about
I am the United States Congressman, and that man.
You ought to change it to your white seersucker suit.
No, I think I like the possibility of being snapped, as a family in Minnesota, but what doesn't ring true is this concrete statues. Concrete is difficult to make statues.
I'll tell you this.
You
He
can't
wants
carve
us
them.
to say that if he's telling the truth, he wants to say it's false. So that whole I don't remember concrete kind of thing would be in his benefit. This man is not an imbecile. He knows what's going to be happening.
But not to throw you off. But if it is false, he does what you say is true.
Which gives us back
Quite a conundrum we have here.
This is typical of the Matrix.
I'm not sure I agree with the fact that he's not a moron.
I'm going to go with an instinctive thing and say it's false because the concrete.
Yes, what team B?
But you could be
Can
wrong.
you get a technical foul for that?
I'm gonna get 1 point for technical.
Rally turns out I got more runs.
All right. Oh, wait. What is your answer?
Well, because it doesn't matter about whether it's concrete or not.
What doesn't matter is who wins this game.
What matters is that everybody has fun. And I almost had a heart attack earlier. I had a stroke. I could feel it in my left arm, which is a warning sign. I just wanted to put that out there just in case.
Watch might just.
We're going to go with this now. We're going to go with false because they want false and I want them.
Trace?
It is in fact true.
What? You lied about the concrete.
I don't know what it's made out of.
I can say I spent the summer working in Monaco, Wisconsin, and there was also a Paul Bunyan pancake house there. And they had a giant Paul Bunyan outside, but it was in fact made of concrete.
Dana,
Wood structure with a chicken.
I thought it was true about the concrete.
Like a horse.
But didn't say it was a good statue.
TB, I'd like to warn you if you're going towards syrup again, so I just, you're not getting it.
Okay, well, we're gonna do another home truth with Team A, and I think we're gonna do one that Mr. Nealon has passed along to him. Are you ready, Team B?
Don't hypnotize me.
Oh, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
Hey, he won't repeat himself.
No more of that UK juju.
And the winner is Whitney Houston.
That's true, she is the winner.
Now it says, I was once struck by lightning while cycling through the rain.
All right, Team B?
Where was this?
In the UK.
Captain Morgan Street by any chance? Captain Morgan Avenue?
So I can't hear.
Was it on Captain Morgan Avenue by any chance?
No.
How was it that you were struck by lightning, yet if you were cycling, there would be rubber tires between you and the road, which would not be an electric connectiveness thing.
Tires were made of concrete.
A little bit of sound. That's all you need.
But technically, yes, if the lightning had struck me, I wouldn't have been here. So I would probably, what would have happened is that the lightning would have struck the bike, if it had been true.
I'm not sure if we understand the game anymore.
Talk about knitting again.
It's all the Matrix, bro.
Actually, has anyone seen the sequel to The Matrix? No, I'm talking about the June Tricks.
You gotta give Team B a point now, I'm sorry.
That'll be 2 points to
We're okay with that.
Were you hospitalized for the lightning strike?
No.
Where did it strike you? Head?
No, I think it struck the bike, because I mean,
Oh, I see.
yeah, because, but it was a terrifying moment, I didn't actually fall off.
So the statement that you got struck by lightning while biking would in fact be a lie, in that your bike got struck by lightning.
On QI, they had a question about a guy who got struck by lightning 6 times. And they went on and on and on about it. And Rich Hall, one of your compatriots, was on the panel. And Stephen Fry went like that, ha ha ha, and said, does anybody know his name? And Rich Hall buzzed. And everyone looked around in total surprise and went, how does he know the name of the guy who struck by lightning 6 times? And Rich Hall just said, Bernie.
Hope you got a point for that.
Yes, I'll give Neil a point back for that.
The Rich Hall story. Did Neil get struck by lightning?
Yes, Team B, what is your
But
conclusion?
the thing is, you haven't addressed
Describe Zeus.
And what he did to anger him?
Was this your bicycle?
It was my bicycle.
Was the brand a Raleigh?
I can't remember. I think it might have been a BSA. BS is right in the name.
Was it a 3-speed postman's bike?
Sturmy Archer gears, yes.
Now you've proved that Neil knows what a bicycle is.
Bill's saying false. Dana, you have to choose. You're the captain.
Gee, Scott.
Look, that's for Hogwarts, isn't it?
I don't think you can still be playing music with lightning running through your head like that. I don't know.
So, Dana, you must choose.
I mean, you were in the world. That was on one page. That was on a lightning page.
I think I know the answer, and Neil didn't tell me what it is. I will bet you right now $5 that I can tell you the correct answer to this. Even though Neil didn't tell me. $5?
All right, Dana.
I'm going to answer for my team,
All right.
even though I believe the opposite.
I had that.
Then we're a team.
It was the gravity.
Hold on. We got a bet going, so we're going to hear yours, we're going to hear what Doc thinks, then Neil's going to reveal.
Yeah.
So,
Mine
Dana,
are the teams.
the team's decision.
Yeah, our teams is that, but I think the opposite.
You're way
But you're the captain. You must choose
Yeah,
your
okay.
team.
We are going to say that that is false.
I have $5 that that is true.
All right, Neil.
Can I get some of that action?
Let's really do it like television. It is true.
$5 to Doc Hammer.
Let me tell you why I knew that.
That's a 1, that's 2.
Because each one of us wrote our truth, and then we either read our truth back or read bullshit. And it said, cycling through the rain. None of us are going to write cycling through the rain as something we wrote. So he has a plan. And the word cycling proved that Neil wrote it. It was that easy, gentlemen.
If he had just showed us the card that just said cycling.
He read it out loud. He read the entire card. You didn't have to read it.
Okay.
Can I just ask?
Cycling. It's all in there.
Team B. Time for another one.
Money at his gun.
That's gonna haunt my nightmares. Dana.